simplest thing that we have done in my faculty is to give every member of academic staff a Sony digital recorder, which costs £46, and the cost of 2 AAA batteries. It's a 2 gig recording device, and we say to everybody, when you go to your lecture, have it in your pocket, just slip it on here and record your lecture. It's very straightforward, because at the end of the lecture you get back to your office and you plug it into your computer and you upload it to Blackboard. And you guys have Blackboard just like we do, so you'll know that doing a podcast episode is like 3 clicks. It's probably the simplest, the lowest wall in terms of technology and enhancing face-to-face student interaction, and I can guarantee you that the reaction from your student cohort will be incredibly favourable. But we're not just about student votes, we're not just about NSS. We have some ideas. This is Blackboard, it looks slightly different for you. But we have ideas about how this is going to actually impact on their learning. We want to know about their learning, not just them thinking it's great. It might look a bit like this in your VLE, but students can play the audio recording here. I also produce a private RSS feed, so they can pull it out of iTunes if they want to, download it onto their mobile device, or they can just save it locally. When we asked the students about the impact of these podcasts on their learning, so this was after a whole semester where almost all the staff released these, we got some really interesting data which have managed to dispel most of the myths in the staff that refused to do it. So I already know that these data have had an effect on staff, so I'm quite happy to show them to people. In terms of student use, 76% of them have listened to more than half of the audio recordings that are available. Imagine students taking 6 courses, that's probably 20 lectures per course, it's 120 lecture recordings. They've got a lot of these to listen to. So 74% listening to most is pretty good. Most of them are listening to it at least twice, sometimes 5 to 10 times, not 1s or 2s. 10s and 15s of students are listening to them up to 10 times. They're not valuing these things, they're genuinely getting into the depths of them. They are listening to the majority of the recording, 80% saying they're listening to more than half, and these are traditional 50-minute lectures, so they're listening to 30-odd minutes of them. Their students are happy with an unedited recording. No nice topping, tailing, tidying up of terms, and when we chat and we ask questions, that all stays there. And that's a barrier to us normally, because we say, we can't do this because it's going to take a whole media team months to process this. Students don't want it processed, they just want it. Preferably within an hour of you finishing your lecture, because that's when they write their lecture notes up. Genuinely, that's when they go and do it. They've got a space, they go to the library, they write it up, they want the recording. Kind of makes sense to me. The biggest barrier that we had was staff said, oh, students are never going to come to my lectures, I'm not doing it. I've been doing this for about 10 years. I have absolutely no evidence of students not coming to lectures. They come to lectures because they value the teaching that they receive in the room, they value the performance, they value the interaction, they value the learning that takes place. It's not about whether there's a recording of the lecture there afterwards. Genuinely don't believe it has any impact on attendance, and there's quite a lot of published evidence that supports this. And we do need to be mindful of the fact that students sometimes genuinely can't attend teaching sessions. We all have issues in our lives, and sometimes having that recording there can be very, very important to a student who couldn't make it. Now this is the really bit that gets me very excited, is that students are saying that they are concentrating more in lectures because of the knowledge that there's a recording there. They can actually sit and absorb what is being said and think about what is being said instead of frantically writing it down because it's font of all knowledge, speaking for 50 minutes once in their life, end of, never going to see them again. So it's transforming their use of the contact time. If you do nothing different, they're changing their behaviour. They're using the time more productively. They can only do this on the back of a guarantee that those recordings are going to be there. And they change their behaviour, and if somebody comes into the course halfway through the term and stops doing recordings, the students quite rightly cause all sorts of trouble, because they're like, I've been doing this, and now you've stopped doing a recording, you didn't tell me you've stopped. and I couldn't write it all down. So you build up expectation, you have to maintain it. Obviously, the vast majority of students think we should do this all of the time. I find it hard to disagree with them personally.